Hello, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you on premium tank, and this is the Panzer 4.5, which is a medium tank in Tier 5, and we have a complete guide for you. So let's firstly have a look at the tech spec, and as always we'll use blitzhanger.com. Now, why is it important to have a look at the Panzer 4.5 again? Well, because after update 5.5, tanks and premium tanks, and indeed all tanks in Tier 5 have been nerfed a bit. Mainly due to lack of provisions. They can't have a full loadout of provisions, and basically it makes them all a little bit more clunky, less agile, etc. So let's have a look at the tank. Firstly, it's going to cost you 2,400 gold, so it's not a huge amount of money. It's about £10, about €11, something like that, about $12. So not exorbitant, unlike some of the things that Wargaming have been trying to sell us recently. So that's the good news. Now, why is it necessary to have a look at the Panzer 5.4 again? Well, I think it's important because after 5.5, all lower tier tanks, and including Tier 5, which is a medium tier, the tanks have been nerfed. In particular, the fact that they can't fully load out provisions has made them a little bit more clunky, a little bit less agile, and they handle very differently. So therefore, I think it's important to have a look at them again, do a review, and see how the tank has changed. Or if you're new to the game, then it doesn't really matter what it was before, but you still need to know, if you're thinking about buying it, how the tank performs and what you should expect. So let's look at the basics. The tank has a 75mm gun. It has over 1,000 meters per second muzzle velocity, which is very good. It has decent penetration. That's AP rounds, and APCR it will go through almost everything, even when you're up tiered in Tier 6, like Tier 6 heavies like the KV-1S. And the HE rounds are particularly interesting. The HE rounds have almost 40 pen, which means it will go through a lot of light tanks and a lot of Tier 4s. So if you're top tier, have HE loaded because you can use it and do maximum damage. The tank has 10 degrees to gun depression, which is not so bad. 20 degrees of elevation. It does 55 kilometers an hour front speed and 20 with reverse, so it's a fast tank, and it will get around the map pretty easily. But this is really where this tank comes into its own. It has wicked frontal armour, and I mean that in its literal sense, not in its common cultural sense, like as in wicked bro. No, I mean it is really wicked in that it is badass and it is going to bounce shots. And particularly if you're top tier, you're going to troll the lower tiers. A lot of Tier 4 tanks cannot pen this front on. We can see here, look at this. This is what a Tier 4 sees when he sees you coming onto him. It's really intimidating. Even Tier 5s really find it difficult to pen you. It has really amazing frontal armour. And this actually lends the tank to other tactics that the tank can use. Namely, this tank is great for ramming. So it's something else to remember. I always say it's like having an extra shell in the breech. The ram can add anything from 50 HP damage all the way up to the full shell roll, depending on what you hit. For example, the other day when I was playing, I hit a Panzer 4D in the side, and I took 180 damage off him just with the ram. So front on, this tank is a beast, and it's also known as the Ram Panzer, because basically you can smash and mash in this thing. I mean, really, it is just a brilliant tank for ramming. If you hit a light tank or another medium tank in the back or in the sides, you're going to do significant damage. So it's like having an extra round loaded. So bear that in mind. One thing about the tank, a disadvantage, is that it is not agile, and that may be contradictory given that I said it's very fast, but it's slow off the mark, it's slow to accelerate. Once it gets going, it's great, but it is slow off the mark, and its traverse speed is very poor. Now, there are things that we can do to counter that, and I'll actually show you these when we're in the game. One of them is to pre-aim the gun. So in other words, when you're coming onto a target and moving, you align the gun with the target before you actually come onto the target. So therefore you negate the need for actually traversing when you come onto target, and we'll have a look at that in the game. Now, the map is Himmelsdorf, so have a look for the map tactics here, and we'll talk about a little bit about the dead man's no man's land, the dead zone in the middle of the map, etc. And also in this map, I do a RAS I didn't plan for it, and then actually I remember when I was playing the game I didn't even notice I'd done it until the scores came up, because I was so concentrated on winning the game. Now I've looked at the red list, I've looked at the setup, so I decided that we should go right here. Not really sure what the SU-85 was telling me there, if he agrees or disagrees or whatever. I come down here because I want to spot, and lo and behold I spot up the Panzer 4D, and I tried to get around into him, but I messed that up, and also being zoomed in I drive up over the hill, so that wasn't particularly good play. So I didn't really have a really good start to this game. Got one round into him, but actually I was messing around so much on this Panzer 4D and trying to pen him again that actually I let him get around into me. So now I decide I need to be a little bit more sensible, not just keep sticking my head out to no real effect. Now let's talk about No Man's Land a little bit. This zone in the middle of Himmelsdorf is No Man's Land, and it is a death zone. Normally if you drive out into this you will die, and you will die horribly and very quickly, like the couple who've just had sex in a horror movie. However, I'm going against my own golden rule here and driving across. Why? Well, because I am watching the mini-map, and I can see on the left that all of the reds are over in the rail area, so therefore I know it's safe for me to cross No Man's Land. No Man's Land, or the death zone, has advantages in that it's the quickest way of gaining from one battle area to the other on this map. Now therefore, if you know where the enemy tanks are, you can use it to get across the map very quickly, as I did here. And now look, I'm up behind all of the reds. They are preoccupied with my teammates up front, not paying attention to me, and I'm basically just farming damage down to get lots of free shots into them. And as you can see, I've put in 4 shots now, and all I took was a 43 damage. So I'm still very good, and health wise still almost 550 hit points, and I've cleared out 2 tanks already, plus the Hetzer, so 3 of them down. And I'm in a really good position, really good flanking position. Again, because I'm up behind them, I just have to use AP rounds, so I'm getting the maximum rolls. And I've put my team into a strategically strong position and put the enemy team into a strategically weak position. I move up here into this trench because all that's going to be exposed is my turret, and I know that the small caliber gun on the B1 is going to be almost impossible to pen my turret at shooting down into it like that, so it's pretty safe and I can move up on him. I try to track the SU, and actually I get a nice round into him there, and he still hasn't seen me, he's preoccupied. This is another thing, I got a nice Vindaloo round him there, set his bomb on fire. Here's another thing, I move backwards here as I'm firing so that I bounce your shot. Here's another thing about game tactics, game philosophy. When the reds are preoccupied with tanks in front, I often don't see tanks behind. Now here I am, I pre-aimed the gun, which is what I told you about, so when I was driving up I actually had the gun aimed to the right to align with the Crusader, so as soon as I popped around I didn't have to traverse, the gun is aligned with him. And this is what I call R squared. I called it earlier smash and mash, but basically it's a round and a ram, R squared, and does double damage, or not almost double damage, but you know, I got a 200 roll onto him. And then there at the end, just a little tip, when I was traversing I used move the tracks as well, so I have the traverse time to counteract the poor traverse time of this tank. So there we go, that is this tank in action. As you can see, that was a pretty good game, and the tank itself allowed me to bounce some shots. It allowed me to do a lot of damage, almost 2.5k damage. It allowed me to get across the map, so I went from our spawn right in behind the enemy across No Man's Land very quickly. It allowed me to farm that damage in behind and really help my team and to carry the game. As you can see then, the base XP, so as you see, the credits very good. This tank has 140% credit coefficient, so it's great for earning credits. And the XP, base XP there is almost 1.2k, which is massive XP, and obviously that obviously got me the mastery badge. I also got the Top Gun, High Caliber, and of course the Resonate Heroes medal, which is obviously something very nice. But as I said before, and I did a separate video on Resonate, I didn't play for it. If you want to get it, the best way to do it is not to play for it, because if you start thinking about it, you probably make mistakes. The easiest way to get it is actually just to play well, and eventually it will come, which is what happened to me there. Even at the end of the game when I killed the last tank, the Panzer IV, I wasn't aware that I was on a resonate because I was just concentrating on my gameplay, playing well and trying to win the game for my team, because after all it is a team game. There we can see almost actually 2.6k damage and 7 kills, so pretty significant carry there for me as well. Now let's have a recap on the key points about this tank. It's very good value for money. It's not a rip-off at 2400 gold like some of the things that Wargaming have been pushing our way recently. The credit coefficient, basically that is how it earns credits for you, is at 140%, so it's decent. It's not the best in its class, but also not the worst, so it will earn you good credits. It has this troll armour on the front, and it really will bounce shots, and you will not be disappointed. And it is the Ram Panzer. It's like an extra shell that's always loaded. So you see, I would do about 150 average damage. When I did the R squared and the Ram, I did 200. It's a good gun, decent rate of fire versus other meds at just over 7 seconds. It has good pen, good muzzle velocity, and it is fast but not agile, so please be aware of that when brawling. So pre-aim your gun, as I said, and also use the tracks when moving along with the traverse so that you have the speed. You need to be aware of that when brawling, because otherwise you will just you will perform badly in brawls. It's a good solid performer, and definitely I would say it's worth adding to your garage. You will enjoy playing this tank and it's good fun. Thanks for watching, guys and girls. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. Cheers, Mush. Take care. All the best, and talk to you soon. Bye bye.